Hello and welcome to Dog Days, where we talk about all things cannabis. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Holly B. Today, our special guest is the founder and publisher of MedicateOH, which participates in cannabis advocacy and industry speaking opportunities with print, digital, and TV media outlets, podcasts, trade shows, and other types of engagements. Welcome, Miss Gabrielle Dion. Welcome to the Doghouse. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Holly.
Hi.
It's good to be here.
Is it okay if I call you Gabby?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So welcome to the Doghouse. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you into the cannabis field?
Yeah, so I've been in the cannabis industry since 2019. I started Medicate Ohio as an advocate. I had myself been a patient in Nevada, one of Nevada's first patients there, as they were going from medical to adult use. And I was struggling at the time with opioid use disorder. After several surgeries, I was struggling with using opiates, and luckily had a surgeon who recommended medical marijuana at the right time for me, and found it to be useful, and moved back home to Ohio in 2019. And I knew that it could be something to help me release my addiction to opioid addiction. And so I got so I took my last pill basically in 2019, left pain management, and and started my organization. I knew that if it was helping me, that it would help others. That's how we began Medicaid Ohio. As the Ohio program was beginning their medical program in 2019 and ramping that up, I was able um, to be able to do a lot of journalism around that. My background before I got into cannabis was in journalism. So it was something for me that I was able to really take my talents and my what I knew how to do from before and apply it to the cannabis industry. So we've been doing that since 2019 and 2020. We were accepted as a fiscally sponsored project of Community Shares of Mid-Ohio. And and we've been doing this work as a nonprofit since then. In 2023, I'm a dual state resident of both Ohio and Kentucky. So we were able to really help a lot with the advocacy on the Kentucky side. My partner, who is a veteran of Desert Storm, he was able to also come with me as we advocated to the governor's council for that. And Kentucky was able to put through an executive order so that all people in Kentucky could use cannabis for as medicine. And then they start up their program in January next year.
Oh, very cool. So that's a match made in heaven to be a journalist and a cannabis advocate. That is just a marriage made in heaven. Perfect.
Yeah, and it's difficult because of the nonprofit. So one of the things that we've done in the Kentucky space that's different because of the amount of advocacy that you can really do in the nonprofit space. We have in Kentucky opened as an LLC. So we'll see how that affects what work we're able to do in Kentucky. But we could see us really being involved in further legalization in the bluegrass state, as they have just started their program. It's again very limited, like Ohio was. There are probably around 4 million Ohioans that want to use cannabis, but there's only around 200, 300,000 in the state's program. So you can see how important it is to get these legalizations done in these states, because it does provide so much more access. Even though a lot of us believe that cannabis is medicine for everyone, legalizing it, like alcohol, like other vices, comes with a lot of opportunities. But of course, then you have the comparison to things like alcohol, which a lot of times aren't congruent. So yeah, so we have a lot more work to do in Ohio still, as people are figuring things out. We don't have any dispensaries open yet. That is coming by September 7th. And as soon as those open, we will be continuing to help patients of the medical program, as well as consumers, understand the benefits to keeping that card, both the practical, financial, and legal benefits to keeping a medical card when you can just as easily go in and buy it.
Right.
So that'll be, yeah, so that'll be a lot of the work we do in Ohio. And then, of course, Kentucky starting up will be very interesting as well.
So let's see if we can bring up your website.
Sure.
I looked at it before we invited you on and started the recording here, and it's just chocked full of a lot of good information. You got a events calendar. You have speaking engagements. It looks like you've gone to some trade shows. Are you planning on going to MJCon? Is that on your agenda, or is that more of a outside your purview? Are you going to be at MJCon?
We might. We may be there. We are looking at things. We're doing a lot really locally in Ohio and Kentucky. But you might see us or some of us. We're a growing group, so you may see some of us at MJ BizCon this year, and other events throughout the country, especially as we gear up for federal reclassification. That should be interesting as well. And we really try to follow the federal what's going on federally, and keeping people in our communities informed about what's going on and how they can participate in the advocacy.
Since we're talking about that, what are your thoughts about the reclassification?
Oh, it's really got both good and bad to it. In any sense where we can offer more access to more people to this plant, I think it's a good thing. However, there's a lot of details in there that indicate that it may be controlled somewhat by the pharmaceutical industry, which I think most advocates like myself don't agree with, especially coming from a history where pharmaceuticals have done nothing but harm me. It's really hard to see them potentially controlling this industry, because they are so exactly opposite of one another. And I've often said that cannabis is our exit ramp from pharmaceutical medicines, and from the way that we practice medicine here in the United States. I've so a lot of my journalism from the before times, from before I got into cannabis industry, was medical and health related. My first job was for the Journal of Pediatrics in Cincinnati, which is a highly respected medical journal. So I've done a lot of learning and reporting about the medical industry and the science and the research behind what's going on in cannabis. So yeah, it's been a great time to really bring a lot of that out and bring it to the surface, so that folks can really know what they need to do to make their voices heard, and what we can do to further expand this plant to more people.
I absolutely agree with that. Education, you get folks who kind of drank the Kool-Aid about cannabis and marijuana and reefer madness and all that kind of stuff, and very conservative areas like Wyoming, they don't know how to talk about medical cannabis. And so, at least here in Wyoming, we're starting from the ground up. Like, this is medical cannabis, this is recreational cannabis, this is hemp, this is hemp derived products, and this is industrial hemp. So, whenever you talk about cannabis, it's a whole spectrum of different things, and for some reason, here in Wyoming, they just kind of clump it all together in one big ball of marijuana bad. And so, the whole education thing and the vocabulary and stuff, I'm with you 100% that, and your website is really just chock full of really good resources and articles, and the different events that you're going to. You're doing great work, Gabby. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I love that this project has mushroomed into such a wonderful resource for people, not just Ohioans, not just Kentuckians, people who want to understand cannabis better. And a lot of what we have done, and the reason that it has come together in this way is because we brought together people who understood journalism, and understood how to write and to uh, communicate in a way that keeps this plant uh, understandable, and to use the right terminology, and to use language that furthers advocacy, as opposed to some of the other types of content that are out there that I see all the time that doesn't further advocacy, that makes cannabis look like it could potentially have more dangers than it really does,
Perfect.
because of the way that people present it. Being a journalist, and being and having a team around me that was thoughtful about how we use language right from the very beginning has really helped us to develop a site that everyone can find something from and get use out of. We have also developed, in the course of doing this, we also developed a writer's workshop, and we're going to be offering that again this fall. And we were offering it just to Ohioans, but this year it'll be available to anyone across the US who would like to learn how to create articles and internet content surrounding cannabis that's thoughtful and that helps advocacy efforts. So we invite the community to join us in that. We'll also have a scholarship application online in coming months for you to join. We've been lucky enough to have a lot of support from the cannabis industry, and they support our scholarships. So we hope that folks who are really interested in finding their niche in the cannabis industry, and maybe they enjoy writing or have a background in journalism or content creation, we invite everyone to come and join us for this. It's a really fun online workshop. It's 5 classes long, and we go through things like journalism versus PR, advocacy writing, how to be a strong advocate, and also we go through doing things like product reviewing, which is another area which is really helpful for folks who want to want to get their voices out there, and make a name for themselves in this industry.
Holy cow, Gabby, that sounds so exciting. I hope you keep in touch with me with that. Keep me in the loop with that, because I'd love to get the word out. It's so
Yeah.
needed here in our area in Wyoming. And if we could get a couple of people from Wyoming to get fired up about writing and getting the word out there in the proper way, in the proper framework, that would be fantastic. Hey, we're going to take a really quick break. I'm going to run a quick ad for one of my partners, and we'll come right back and continue our conversation.
Awesome.
Ethereal Gold Dispensary, the best kept secret around. Legal cannabis, mushrooms, and more straight to your doorstep. Each product is meticulously tested, setting the ethereal gold standard nationwide. And we're not just in it for the greenbacks, folks. We honor our troops and veterans with a special discount. Plus, 2% of every purchase goes to local charities. Visit etherealgolddispensary.com and use the code RADIOHIGH for 15% off. Enjoy yourselves, my friends.
And we're back with Miss Gabby, who is the founder and publisher of MedicateOH, and she's doing fantastic advocacy work from her experience as a journalist. We're going to continue our conversation here. We looked at her website, just chock full of good information. What do you got going on as far as events wise? You just got back from a golf tournament, I believe. I heard through the grapevine.
Yeah, absolutely. We just did the Ohio Classic, which was a great golf tournament, and we will have on our Weed and Whiskey Network channel. We will be having some interviews about that. But we've had an amazing summer. We have really done a lot of our advocacy out in the field this year. Which has been a great way to get connected with lots of different people. We were out in May at the Dark Star Jubilee, which is the biggest Grateful Dead tribute band festival in the U.S. And we had just such a great time at that. We did some tie-dyed T-shirts and really talked to people about the benefits of using cannabis in a legal setting. As you may know, and as a lot of folks watching may know, festivals tend to be areas where you can find a lot of substances that are going around and maybe aren't of the legal nature. And we really think when we go out to these festivals that we can really change that. We want people to be able to have those homemade items and procured items that may not be on the up and up. But we also want people who respect the idea of purchasing from a legal dispensary to be able to do that. And so we hope in coming years at festivals like the ones we've attended this summer to be able to offer legal cannabis to folks for purchase. So that is something we're working toward, and it's been wonderful just coupling it with the advocacy. And we've met so many wonderful people this year who have just told us again and again how cannabis has helped them in some unique way. And we, every time someone comes up to our booth and asks about it, and we begin talking to them, we learn a new story and a new piece of the puzzle that we can add to our collective knowledge of cannabis. So we just love doing that. On the horizon for us, we are planning on some more events in Cincinnati. We've got we are planning on also, this is a really cool event coming up in September. It's going to be a record attempt in Columbus, Ohio for the world's largest sound bath. So that should be an interesting event, and we are planning on being vendors at that. One of the things that's really important to us is having a lot of these holistic modalities that go along with cannabis. available to people. And of course, we've done sound bath before. We're excited about this. We also do a lot of events where we incorporate CBD massages. That's something that's really important to us as well, is letting people know that they can incorporate some of their topical products into other things that they're doing right for themselves. And massages is a big one. So we have a wonderful partner called Holistic Hammock, and she comes out with us to most of our events. So if you see a MedicateOH event coming up, know that you may be able to get a massage there as well.
You bring up a wonderful aspect of it, is it's holistic, and it's great by itself, but whenever you add good diet, exercise, massage therapy, sound therapy, light therapy, all that kind of good stuff, it's just going to make you even a more well-rounded, well person. So thank you for hitting on that. So tell me about the world largest sound bath. How does that work?
Yeah, so they're going to be doing this in Columbus. They're going for a world record attempt, and yeah, we will just be there to help folks understand exactly that you know, when they come out to something like a sound bath, when they come out to, you know, a yoga, to you know, yoga class, to anything that is one holistic modality, that cannabis may be something they may want to incorporate with that, because it's just another way for us to bring together different things that make us feel good. One of our biggest themes, overarching themes of the year too, is another modality that we forget often, which is music. And we forget that music is medicine, and that when we come together to listen to bands and to do things like the world's largest sound bath, which are different things, but kind of the same in that they're both things that we're hearing and that are musical, and that is affecting our brain in a positive way. And so we like to explore that, and we like to continue to offer lots of musical experiences for folks as well. So we have some things coming up, and maybe even potentially a music festival next year.
Whoa, that
Maybe.
sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's really what we want to do too, is we want people to understand that cannabis can be fun, but it can be
Yes.
responsible, and you
Yes.
can have fun and responsible together in an environment that just leads to more access for folks, as people who aren't comfortable with it become comfortable
Yes.
by being in environments where people are using it responsibly. That's where we really begin to change the stigma, and to start to get the conversation going in states where it's not legal yet,
Yes.
and states where they're just beginning to talk about it. A lot of the conversations we have in Kentucky are about what's happening in Ohio and what's happening in Michigan. So we're all looking at other states, and when we do things well and do things responsibly, other states see that, and
Mhm.
their legislators and decision makers are the ones who are able to see that. So the more that we can do things that are fun, but yet responsible, the more that we can really bring more awareness to this issue, and to have more people involved.
This is so cool. I am totally vibing with you. I want to know more. I want to be your friend.
Let's do it. Yes. I'm on all the
Because
socials. Gabrielle
what you're
Dion.
saying is exactly the game plan, or the game book that you know, I would love to see play out here in Wyoming. Just to have community events, and it's okay, or whatever, and as long as you're doing it responsibly and educate folks and have fun. It's so the climate here in Wyoming is just so serious and so almost combative and stressed out, and some folks get really angry when you talk to them about cannabis, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I've seen that now. Nevada was a very progressive state, and I moved after being in a very conservative state, Ohio and Kentucky, both very conservative, all of my
Yeah.
life. And when I moved to Nevada, it was so refreshing to see the way
Yeah.
that people openly talked about it, and how progressive that was. Then, of course, I came back to Ohio and Kentucky and saw again a lot of the things that you're talking about.
Mhm.
People just have misinformation. They don't want to change their feelings based on all the new information. People have
Yeah.
real problems, especially in conservative states, with cognitive
Yes.
dissonance.
Mhm.
And and so what we have really done is helped folks to have to face those feelings. I said
Yeah.
that recently. I said that in Ohio, I've been making people uncomfortable for 5 years now about
Yeah.
the medical program, and I will continue to make people uncomfortable in Kentucky for years to come about it, because it is important. It's important
Yes.
to present these ideas that challenge their preconceived notions about cannabis and about who uses cannabis and why.
Exactly, and you're doing it in such a way that you're armed with scientific facts, and you're armed with these true stories. You can't make up someone's healing story, you know? So, I mean, for someone to not be receptive to even listening to that, kind of talks about them and their character as well. And maybe there's hope for the next generation as well. I know here in Wyoming, I mean, the people my age, like 40 and over, really hard to talk to about cannabis and medical program or rec program, or just talking about hemp. I was kind of surprised at the backlash of just hemp and the hemp derived products. This last legislative session, they may outlaw that. Even the hemp derived things, they allowed CBD, but that whole psychoactive, if it has something to do with any kind of high, they don't want any part of it. And with the rescheduling that's coming out, the pearl clutchers were very quick to get into the media and say, you know, the federal government can do whatever they want. Nothing's going to change here in Wyoming. And so that's what I'm up against here.
Yeah, and it's so
And
hard, and I see it. I've seen it more in Kentucky than I have in Ohio. I was recently at a fiscal court meeting where they were discussing a moratorium in one of the counties, and a doctor got up there and claimed that cannabis had no medical value, and I would say that that doctor is violating their Hippocratic oath when
yeah,
when they say things like that.
yeah,
There is so much evidence now that any doctor or anyone in the medical field who doesn't incorporate a knowledge of cannabis into their learning isn't doing a good service to patients. And it's one of the reasons why I think that cannabis is becoming such an exit ramp, is that people are tired of that. They are tired of doctors who are telling them things that they know in their hearts aren't correct, and that they know that this substance that's making them feel more comfortable and more healthy, they know that that has to be right, as opposed to the substance that the doctor was giving them that wasn't making them feel good, that was giving them side effects, that was giving them not the healing that they needed. And we're seeing that more and more, I think. And the more we talk about it, and the more that we come into public spaces and talk about it, the better we do.
Wonderful. I could not agree with you more. Hey, on that note, I'm a disabled combat veteran, female, so I like to do a tribute about mid-show. I show a video. It's going to be a couple of minutes, so hang tight. I'll do my tribute. We'll come back and pick up the conversation.
Sweet.
Hello, everyone, and we're back. I'm talking with my new best friend, Miss Gabby Dion from Ohio, and we are discussing our wonderful cannabis plant and the benefits in which it brings. Welcome back, Gabby. Let's continue the conversation. So, what would you like to talk about next?
Yeah, so I think I would love to tell you what some of my favorite strains are.
I would love that.
Super. So yeah, so I tend to like cookies strains. I like cake strains. I am a big fan of runts strains. I like tropical runts, runts berries. I also just had a really great landrace strain from here in Ohio. Yeah, really interesting times for cannabis. Here in Ohio, we're lucky that we've got a lot to choose from medically. We are going to have lots and lots of new cultivators come into the program. Yeah, learning what those favorite strains are and learning the terpenes behind them has been really important to me. and learning some other things even beyond the terpenes and the sativa or indica. Really learning about the plant and what's going on behind it, and what some of those other properties of the plant are, that really make up how the effects how it will affect you, is really neat. One of our writers, Tyler, has just come back from the Emerald Triangle, and he came back, and I spoke with him yesterday, and he has so much knowledge to share about what he learned. And I'm noticing that with a lot of our team right now, that they all have just increased their knowledge so much just from their different jobs and trainings and experiences, that they're really able to take a lot of that knowledge and apply it to the stories that they're writing about the plant, and about the different strains and the different products that are available now. There are, it's so hard when you go into a dispensary. There are sometimes hundreds of products to choose from, and people who are newer at selecting cannabis, and selecting cannabis for a particular reason, like a condition that they're trying to heal. It's really difficult, and it's really daunting. I worked in a dispensary during the pandemic, and I was one of those first essential workers, and I remember being so proud that I was essential. But yeah, people would come in and they would be entirely clueless about how to select the right medicine, and they'd look behind them, and there's a door, or there's a line out the door, and
Yeah.
they don't want to hold up the line. They
Right.
want to learn, but learn quickly, and that can be so hard for them. So yeah, so having things like reviews that we put out there really gives
Mm,
people a chance to arm themselves with some knowledge before they come into that dispensary and have that really rushed, hurried experience. A lot of dispensaries too, if you call them and set an appointment, will sit down with you and really talk it out. So that's another thing that we really want people to know, is that when they go into the dispensary and they have that rushed experience, and I'm a Midwestern woman, so I am sorry for everything all the time. And yeah, when I go in there, I'm trying to be quiet. I'm trying to be like, I don't want to bother anybody. I don't want to upset the balance in here. So I better just get in, order something, and get out of here, right? And that is such a common thing, especially with women, right?
yes.
Where we don't know what we're talking about sometimes, so we really shut down.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important for people when they get into using something like cannabis to do that kind of background research, and to study the menus before they go into the dispensary, to really look at, hey, if I were to buy this strain, let me go out now onto Google and see what other people have said about it. It's so important for folks to really know what products they're using, because also, like, when I first went into a dispensary for the first time, um they I was in that mode, like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm embarrassed, I'm confused, and for some reason I'm sorry, because I'm always sorry for everything. So I went in, I got two pre-rolls, and when I went home and tried the pre-rolls, I wasn't a smoker, and I had never used anything like that before. And I started coughing, and I had a back injury, and it was the worst thing for me. And had I not gone back to the dispensary the next week again when my opioids ran out, I might not have ever found edibles, which were really what I needed.
Yes.
And that's why it's so important when folks go into that dispensary for the first time, that they don't look at that as the be all and end all of weed. because there's so many different types of places that you can go and find the products and the help that you need. And then there's also so many online resources too for folks. So I think it's really important for people to just learn as much as they can and absorb as much knowledge as they can before they step into the dispensary.
And I have a friend that I had on my show, and she developed something. It's called a ganja guide, and it's a little notebook, and it has some definitions. It has like a little definition portion to it, and then she has a terpene chart to it, and different because she works in a dispensary. She has a lot of experience in that, so she kind of broke it down into a little notebook, and you can kind of track your different strains and how you felt on it and the different modalities, and it's a logbook to your personalized healing journey. And I thought it
Yeah,
was pretty genius. And she's young too. She's like in her early 20s.
yeah, and I've seen this a lot, and we try to get this in there into our articles when we can. That people should absolutely be journaling their experiences. Our editor in chief, Mary Alliger, has a wonderful journal that we sell at our events. And it's just a paper journal, and it has just pages for you to write in all of your information, the effects you're feeling from it, the terpenes, the the like when you took it, what time of day. All of these things
Yep.
are really important. One of the things that I used to tell people in the dispensary even is like note what you're eating,
Yep.
and note how you're how you're feeling when you're consuming the other things that you normally consume. Like for instance, if you find that a strain is working for you, but that it makes you tired, why not try a cup of coffee or a tea, and and keep that strain? Because I've had people come into the dispensary before and they've said, "Oh, I don't want that. It makes me sleep. Oh, that one's too energizing." Well, there are things that you can do with your diet and your lifestyle to work with that. And people
Mhm.
often don't think about that, especially, and this is one of the hardest things that I noted as I was coming into cannabis as medicine, is that I was skeptical of all of it.
Yeah.
I thought that the opiates were superior in some way for pain, and everything that I tried, I was like, well, this isn't going to work as well as opioids do. And I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. They were way better in way different ways. But you have to get the right types and strains. Otherwise,
Yes.
they won't work as well. And that can take time and it can be frustrating. So again, it's really about like learning and getting that education, and being patient with yourself and with the dispensaries that you go into, because they have a wide range of levels of knowledge at all of them. And some people you're going to jive with and you're going to learn a lot from, and others may not. For whatever reason, that may not be the right communication style for you, or they may be their first day on the job and they're not quite ready to counsel yet. So,
Yes.
it's really important that you go back again and again, and continue to uh, have your experiences and journal them, and to be honest with yourself about the
Hmm.
things that you're experiencing and feeling, and the effects that these products are having on you. One of the other cool
Absolutely.
things that we've done, yeah, one of the other cool things that we do, Marissa Cares, who's one of our writers, she does a weekly um, she does a weekly thing called Mental Health Mondays.
Oh,
And
cool.
in Mental Health Mondays, what we do is we ask about 10 questions about something sometimes it's cannabis, sometimes it's just more mental health in general focus. But uh, for a lot of people who don't have access to therapy or prefer a more personal approach, this is a great way. Every Monday, we post this on our Instagram where we just have like 10 questions that you can ask yourself. You can write them down, or you can just think about them in your head, but really thoughtful questions, something like a therapist would ask, where you're really just being mindful about what your habits are, and and learning how to document that for yourself and be thoughtful
Mhm.
about it.
Yeah.
So that's a really neat way that we've also incorporated sort of the mental health aspect into what we're doing, especially since, like I said, so many of us just don't have access to affordable or consistent mental health therapy services. So
Yes.
this is one way that
Yeah,
we can try to give
exactly.
back and do something to folks out.
I love that idea. Oh, would you like to play a get to know you game?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's play this get to know you game. I haven't played it in a while, so let's do it. I love that music. It just peps me up. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and there is no right or wrong answer. So this or that, stevia or indica?
I would say indica. I'm more of an indica girl because I like more of the pain relieving properties. A lot of times they will put me to sleep, which I also need because I struggle to sleep, especially with a back that has a lot of metal in it. I
Ooh.
struggle. Turn like a rotisserie at night, and some of the indica strains do tend to give me a lot more restful sleep.
And we were talking about strains. Do you have a specific favorite?
Yeah, I would say ice cream cake is probably
Mm.
among one of my favorite indica strains. There's a maker here in Ohio called Clutch Cannabis that is also happens to be a good partner of ours with MedicateOH, and they put out a wonderful ice cream cake at about like
Ooh,
25 to
lovely.
27% THC, and yeah, it's really good, really frosty, and a lot of good pretty trichomes on it. So I always pick that up
Beautiful.
when I can.
Awesome. That sounds fantastic. Next question, wake and bake or evening chill or both?
I'm gonna go with both. I
Yeah.
am one of those people who I tend to medicate pretty consistently throughout my day. It helps with so many other things besides just pain. I feel like it helps my mood. I feel like it contributes to creativity, and it also helps me get to sleep at night. It really is a multi tool, and so I use it as such. And I do. I tend to medicate most of the day, almost every day. And when people compliment me on my bubbly personality, I tell them, "Well, I'm high."
Brutally honest. I love it.
Yeah.
So next question. I think I might know the answer to this since we are during our discussion here, but edible or smoke?
Yeah, I would say edible. I do smoke occasionally, and I will partake if it's in a puff and puff pass circle. Most of the time, unless it's really small and like all wet from other people. Yeah, then I'll just go ahead and pass on it and grab an edible. But yeah, I typically do prefer edibles. I also really enjoy RSO, and I like to dab. And I find that dabbing is really a great way to hit when you have acute pain that has come on all of a sudden, like for instance, period pain. Man, I'll tell you what, I'll do a dab and it'll really knock out that, that premenstrual cramps. So yeah, so I will do all of it, but edibles are really mostly my go-to.
Yes, I'm with you on that. And I think they're coming out with teas and coffees now. So it's come on, Wyoming, get with it, folks. I need to medicate.
Yeah, you all have a lot of room to grow with a lot of these new products that are coming to the market. It's so neat to see things like beverages, because I really believe that beverages will be a great way for folks to reduce or eliminate alcohol. I did
agree.
myself. I didn't intend to quit drinking. It just sort of happened. And about 2 years ago now, I quit drinking alcohol. And and I find that cannabis beverages are one of the reasons. It's easy to just grab a THC beverage, whether it's a hemp beverage or a something you can buy in the dispensary. Doesn't matter. It just really makes you feel like you're part of the crowd and you're getting the same buzz. And in the morning, you're going to be able to wake up and enjoy, as opposed to having a hangover.
Yes. Wow. That's wonderful. Are you still there? It looks like you're freezing up a little bit.
Did I lose you?
Yeah, a little bit of freezing up. Let's see if we can get one more question in. So, do you think that medical cannabis should be covered under insurance, medical insurance?
That's a tough one. Yes and no. I think that yes, that doctors should be talking with folks about it, and I think it's great that if we can get it covered for a lot of different, and there are some ways now, like some medical doctors will not charge you for your medical marijuana, for your fee for the doctors, for the card, for the appointment for the card. Things like that are now somewhat coming under insurance. And of course, with reclassification, that could lead to a lot of it. But what I don't want to see is it being treated like another prescription, and like doctors saying, hey, you can try Adderall or cannabis, and acting like those are equivalent. I think that we are always going to, and I also don't want to ever see it in a traditional pharmacy. I don't think that it belongs in pharmacy. There's so much more to cannabis that needs a separate place for us to go buy it. So obviously I want people to save money, but I don't like the idea of it being treated as a
institutionalized.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, awesome. Gabby, hey, I've had such a fantastic conversation with you. I do hope we keep in touch, and my door is always open. We're totally vibing here. I love to have you back on anytime. You take care. That's all the time we have for today. Stay safe out there, folks. Until next time.
Wonderful. Thanks so much.